evening. God bless you, and welcome to Relationship Matters with your hosts, Melvin and Monica, my lovely wife of 30 years. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we just bring you greetings in the matchless name of Jesus Christ. This evening, we want to talk about how to help enhance your marriage. On last week, we came up with a subject of what does women want in a marriage, and today we would like to talk about what do men want in a marriage. Now that can become a very delicate part of the situation because men want a lot of the same things that women want, but there is from the masculine side of things, we always come with one thought in our minds, and we're going to keep it real tonight. We're going to call this as clear as possible, and not go R-rated or go too far to the left or too far to the right. But there's no surprise that men, the first thing that they want in a marriage is sex. I'm just going to keep it honest. That's what most men want, and most of the time men will admit it's number one. That's the number one thing that a man wants is sex. But we don't want to dwell on that tonight. I mean, we'll cover it tonight, and I know that sparks some people's attention. But we want to keep it clean. But yet, sex is part of marriage, and when we deal with that, we also have to deal with the emotional part of it, because sexual relationships are an emotional need. And so when we talk about the needs or the wants that a man wants from his wife, you have to understand that these are feelings that he has inside that he's looking to express with his spouse. So that's why the first man, God chose to give him a helper, because a man needs a helpmeet. And so when God made the decision to give Adam a helpmeet and Eve, he made that universal for men to have a wife, a partner, in other words, a partner in crime, someone that will help them. And when men want different things in life, they deal with it from a different aspect. And so the desire is, because the number one thing in a man's is sex, the desire is for a man to be with his wife in sex, so that way it stays where it's supposed to be and don't get outside of the box. So when we expound on that, we're really dealing with an emotional need, or in other words, for instance, some men feel the sense of responsibility to take care of their wives financially. And so in return, their first mind or thought process is, well, if I'm doing that, she needs to take care of me sexual. And it's not that you're married just for sex. You're married for a relationship. You're married for to become one. It's not that just because you're the head of the household, that's the only thing that's on your mind. So when we deal with the things that men want from their wives, yes, sex is number one.
Interesting. I would say along with that would probably be affection. I'm sure a man doesn't want to feel like his wife does not want to be affectionate with him, and that she does not want to hug or hold hands. So sometimes it's something that women sometimes struggle with, a lot of times. And especially when you're not used to being in a relationship. And every now and again, we have to get to the point where we're honest with ourselves. We understand what our husband is saying. We've got to let our guards down sometime just to listen to what they're saying. Sometimes it may not be with something you want to hear, but it's something that you need to hear. So I think when it comes to a relationship and when it comes to their number one priority, sounds like what you're saying, we have to be realistic though and comprehend that if that's what a man is looking for, we also want to give affection with that.
Absolutely. Now let me spin it this way. So I was in a consultation with a young man some years ago, And one of the statements that was made, and it ties right into this, one of the statements that he made was that when you get married, it seems that the sex gets different. And I said, wow. And he said, well, and he expounded on it, and he made the statement that, and now I'm not condoling this, but a lot of people have premarital sex that you shouldn't have before you get married. You know, the gospel says that you should abstain from this until you get married. But in the society we live in today and now, people will have premarital sex before they get married. So they're trying the cookie before they even own the cookie. Let's put it that way. And he said that it was different before than after he got married. It's almost if he was getting the a la carte in the beginning, but now that he said I do, he just started getting the dessert. Can I put that plain? Or just the appetizer. Put it like that. He's only getting the appetizer. He says it seems like after she got what she wanted, for me to say I do, the sex changed. It wasn't as liberal. It wasn't as often, and things changed. So, and when he said that, I said, wow, that's interesting, because as a man, you know, yes, we want to have sex with our wives, but when they start showing affection, see, the affection goes a long way, because a man, when it comes to the affection part of it, what he's looking for, or what he's expecting is that, yes, I'm the breadwinner. Yes, I'm trying to provide for my family. Yes, I want to show that I love you, but he wants to be shown affection by the, you know, pat him on the back sometimes, you know, when things are not going well, you know, encourage him, you know, when things are wrong, you know, tell him I'm sorry that it's going wrong, you know, that helps build his ego, so that he's not feeling out there all by himself on the Isle of Patmos and don't know how to get back, and he's feeling like a lot of doubts going on in his life. And now what he needs is his helpmate, his wife, the one that he goes to bed with every night. He needs her to encourage him, and he needs that encouragement because of the fact that he's hurting, but he has no one else to go to, because he needs affection. And because if you don't give him that affection, in some cases, some marriages end up getting ruined because they'll find affection elsewhere. So we're coming tonight to encourage what things a wife needs to give to his wife, to her husband, so that he'll stick and stay.
Okay. All
right. So you got to be able to, every now and then, give him a kiss on his cheek. Give him a kiss. Show him some affection. Pick up the phone and just call him and talk to him and just, talk, being real, talk dirty to him. Because you want it to be, you want it to be romantic to a point, but emotionally with affection. He wants to know it's real.
Okay.
I know y'all ain't gonna like me tonight.
All right, so you caught me off guard. I think too, he wants you to be intelligent.
Amen.
A man never wants to walk in a room and his wife is the loudest person in the room, or showing a sign of, let's say, ignorance. Man wants to know that his wife is intelligent and in control. He wants to know that his wife is smart enough to know when to speak and when not to speak, when to address certain things and when not to address certain things. And I think that's part of being intelligent, being mild-mannered, meek, being humble. I don't think a man looks forward to being in a setting with a group of people and his wife is the most boisterous one, and let's say maybe even being disrespectful, or I'm sure men don't want their wife to speak vulgar. I think that when you're one of the most intelligent women in the room, it has to even impress him, maybe somewhat entice him, and make him feel proud. And that's my assumption, just by something that my husband told me a story about a while back. Not about me, but about someone he was dating. And I think that that's what men want. Men want their wives to be a humble type person, a person that will make him shine, not make him look bad.
Absolutely. We want a woman that will compliment us. In other words, what we're saying is want somebody that's intelligent, able to fit in, and not try to be overbearing. Come to the point or the place where she supports her husband 100%, whether he's wrong or not, supports him 100%. Because see, most of us are from the neighborhoods, and when we come from the neighborhoods, we kind of get down in the gutter from back in the day, and so at that time you need somebody that's going to move you up to the next level. And when I say that, what I'm saying is this: remember when we were growing up, there were certain people that you had to watch. And when you would watch them, that one over there, they quiet, they sneaky, something liable to jump off. Then you had the other ones that were just loud and boisterous. They were just a lot of talk. They were hot air, And so a man in a relationship, he wants somebody that's going to sit back, don't have to be sneaky, but is wise enough to absorb what's going on in the atmosphere. And then now, we're on the same page. She's got my back, I got her back. In other words, you have an understanding of one another. Okay. And when you have an understanding of one another, what you've done, I've done research on her and she's done research on me. And so now we're able to yoke up together because we're on one accord, because how can two walk together except they agree? So now we come together, not saying that we agree on everything, but we come together and we agree on 99% of everything. So, and logically, one might be a problem solver, the other may not be a problem solver, but they got to be able to show some value in the relationship where they can help and create a balance. Because if I'm hot-headed, she can't be hot-headed. Or if she's hot-headed, I can't be hot-headed. Somebody's got to be able to keep a level balance in the household, because if two hot-headed people get together, they're going to blow up, and they liable to blow something up or someone or each other up. I know I got that right. So we got to have a balance between the woman and the man. And generally, being honest, we talked about it last week, women are more emotional than men. And since women are more emotional with men, that means they're more in touch with their feelings. Whereas we could walk around and we could have feelings, but we don't express them, and it doesn't bother us, and we keep on walking through the situation and don't worry about it, and think everything is all right, and just like, well, if I just don't talk about it, it's over with. But women, they want to dwell on it and dig into it and open up the can of worms and let's talk about this, and when the man doesn't want to do that. So back to what we're talking about, things that men want from their wives, they want somebody that'll keep a balance, because most men, although they don't want to talk about some of the things that the women want to talk about, but it helps keep an equal balance where it's meeting her need, and also it'll open up something in the man that he didn't realize that maybe I did really need to talk about this, even though I didn't want to talk about it. So it goes a long way. And then now once you get an understanding, now you get to the point where most of us want to feel appreciated. No matter what I do, I want to feel appreciated. And just like any other man, most of us, we feel like in most of our households, we're Superman. They expect us to do everything, from being mechanically inclined to being intelligently inclined, to being able to protect the family, to being able to deal with whatever things come along in our lives. In other words, they think we're Superman, and then at a point, Superman, if the kryptonite gets by him, he loses his strength. And so we really need to be shown appreciation for everything that we do, because of the fact we do get worn out after a while. And so when we talk about appreciation, it might only just be a little kiss. She just came home and she just gave me a kiss. I'm shocked. Why did she give me a kiss? It might be, you text him or you called him while he was at work. How you doing? How's your day going? And just tell him how much I admire you. That just will build that man's ego because he needs that. He just needs that affirmation that he's being appreciated, because a lot of times you can appreciate the person without saying it, but they don't feel like they're appreciated, feel like I'm being taken for granted. And I don't want to feel like I'm taken for granted because I work hard. I go out my way. I sacrifice. Not saying that the wife does not sacrifice, but I sacrifice every day. I get up and I go. I'm a go-getter. I'm not going to have a short. Even when I don't want to do something, I might do something. And I said, I want to feel appreciated. So you need to tell your husband, sisters, tell him how good he looks sometimes. If he walking around and he just got a new shirt and you don't say nothing, you're just looking at him. And Sally across the room, she say, "Oh, that shirt looks nice on you." He wants to feel appreciated. He rather feel appreciated from the one that he lives with. He don't want to feel appreciated by somebody that's outside of the house, because he say, "Oh, thank you," and go on about it. But then next thing you know, y'all telling us she was hitting on you. Well, she told me my shirt looked nice. You ain't told me my shirt looked nice. We just want you to show us that you appreciate it. Amen. Amen. So basically, we want to feel appreciated, and we want to feel we want an affirmation that we're appreciated, because we do things that we know we're obligated to do, that we have to do, but every now and then you can say, "Baby, I thank you for the way you take care of this family." That, sisters, y'all don't know how far that will go with a brother.
It does. And not just telling them, but sometimes showing them how much you appreciate them, because they do need to hear that there is someone else that's going to say they look nice. And men are our heroes, so they need, I feel like men need more patting on the back than women do, because it gives them the courage to continue to do, gives them the strength. They always want to know that you're my hero. They want to know that. They need to be puffed up. They need to be encouraged. They need to be told sometime that, hey, what you're doing is great. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. Sometimes they want to hear how well dressed they are. Sometimes they want to know that you see that their nails are manicured, that they're taking care of themselves. And sometimes we as women can even encourage them, let me give you a pedicure tonight. Let me rub your feet. That's what they want from us. That's what they need from us. And trust me, where you won't, somebody will.
Amen. Amen. And as a man, we want to be accepted. Okay, and when I say accepted, and I'm going to help somebody tonight, a lot of the wives out there are beating up on their husbands, and I'm talking to the newlyweds now. You're beating up on him because he's not where you want him to be. Okay, you need to accept him for where he is. You said I do. You knew his hiccups before you even got married. You knew his hiccups in the process because you dated him for a while. And so now these hiccups that he has, you have to accept them because of the fact that that's who he is. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm going to say it plain like this. Nobody's perfect. And since nobody's perfect, you accept them with those issues. You accept them and I'm not condoling it, I'm not saying it's right. If he drinks, accept him for where he's at. You pray that God will take that desire away from him. If he smokes, the same thing. If he's a gambler, the same thing. But you knew when you went into the relationship that he was dealing with those vices. And so now that that's who he is, accept him for who he is. And now after you accept him for who he is, and then now you begin to pray. and ask God to take these things or these desires away from him. And now, and because men are often hurt and angry because their wives or their spouses are trying to change them. They don't want to be changed. This is who they are. So now what you do is you got to accept him for who he is, and then you pray. You know, if you're a church-going woman and you want to be in the church, but he just can't get right, keep on praying. Keep on putting his name before the altar of the Lord. Keep on asking him to come to the service. Eventually, something will change. Something will finally click. And some men, it might take 7, 8, 10, 15 years. Some men, it might take a year. Some men, it might take a day. But let them come as they are, because nobody can save themselves.
The problem with that is too many of us are getting married with the hopes and expectations that we can change them. This is the key. If he's not what you want prior to marriage,
move on.
Then do not marry him.
Come on now.
The problem with us women is we think we can change him. If we get him and he wants us, he'll do it this way and he'll begin to be this person. No, who he is before I do is who he is after I do. Of course, if somewhere down the line you both got married, you were equally yoked. Let's say you weren't saved when you got married, and then you got saved after the marriage, and now you want to pray for him because you would like for him to be on the same side that you're on. Sure, pray. Ask God to change him. Ask God to show him who God is and who he should be in his life. But do not, I repeat, do not marry a man with the expectations that you can change him. Never do that. You're asking for a big, long, hard, terrible road to go down. You want to marry him because you love who he is when you're marrying him. And if you're marrying him, you want to be equally yoked, whatever that might be. Whether you're saved, not saved, he's saved. Just so happen you fell in love with someone that is not saved, then you have to ask God, is this the man you're supposed to marry? Do not, again, marry him with expectations that you're going to change him, because it's not going to work that way. A man also wants a sense of humor. He gets tired of being humdrum. He doesn't want every time he talks to you that you're serious all the time. You can't smile. You can't laugh. You never want to watch a comedy. He wants someone that has somewhat of a sense of humor, someone that wants to speak to his funny side or make him laugh sometimes, tell him a joke, tickle him sometimes, make him feel like he can come home and be stress-free, because where his home is, that's his castle, and if he always has to be protected inside of his castle, he'll find somewhere else where he can lay his head and rest.
Well, and now the only time that when it comes to the acceptance part, that I'm gonna help you women, so you can say, well, can I help change him? Now, if a health issue comes along later in the marriage, and the doctor says he needs to change his diet, or it's a safety issue for him, yes, a man needs that help to try to encourage him to change. You know, if you got high blood pressure or high cholesterol or something, you know, the diet's got to change. You know, he loves eating fried chicken and fried fish. It's got to change, because this is hindering his life, and it eventually will, you know, lead to diabetes or something of that sort. So yes, that's something that you would have to try to help him with, to try to change. But as far as his characteristics, no. You know, when you get into an argument, you know, we learned this years ago, you got to learn how to agree to disagree. You know, and when it comes to your partner, you're not going to always agree on everything. There's going to be some things you're going to compromise on, say, I don't agree with it, but we're going to roll with it, but I don't agree with it. You know, I just don't like that. Or we may draw the line in the sand and say, I don't agree with it, and I say we're not going to do that, and that side got to give in. It's a give and take in marriage all day long. But what a man wants from his wife, is the different things that's going on. So when you accept him, you need to accept him for who he is. You got to let go when it comes to different activities, and let go on certain opinions, or on your political stance. One may believe in this party, one may believe in this party. Let it go. That's acceptance. That's who he is, and accept him for who he is. Accept him for the flaws that he have. You got flaws too. Nobody's perfect, so you don't like the way he does that, so that's a flaw. So what are you gonna do? Run him away? I thought you said you love him. And then when we deal with the acceptance, we have to get to the point where we get comfortable with being different from our partner. I think a lot, they said that opposites attract. People from two different worlds come together, and you're like, how did they get together? And oftentimes I laugh because I'm that guy when the malls used to be open. We would go. She wanted to go shopping. I go to the mall and I would sit and I just would watch people. They told me I should be a security guard. I would just watch people. I'm like, wow, how did that couple end up together? Opposites attract. And I thought that was very amazing. But other things that men would want from their wives, they want less chatter. So, if your husband is tired, amen, somebody, involved in a project, or just generally isn't up for talking, don't push it. Women like to talk, but don't talk and chatter something when he's not feeling like it. Give him some time, give him some space. So it's important to carve out time when the chatter's going to start, so your husband can be prepared for it. I know I'm right. In other words, put it this way. Allow time for him to absorb, so that when you want to chatter, he can deal with it. Okay? You don't want a relationship where there's never no talking. Okay? There's got to be some communication. But there's a right time for it. Me and my wife, we had the problem. She likes to chatter. She's a woman. She wants to chatter. And she likes to chatter like right before it's about time for me to go to bed. And then, so now you're going to go to sleep on me. No, I'm tired. I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. We could have did this 2 hours ago, but nope, I'm not going to bed. We're going to finish this tonight. So less chatter, please.
So, and when it comes to talking, we like to finish out our thought. We like to make sure that you understand. I was not exactly done. I do have a few more things to say. We like to make sure that you comprehend that. So when it comes to that, we kind of fine-tuned some things. We would talk when our first 15 minutes, especially when the kids were there. We want to talk our first 15 minutes when we get in, or whoever gets in, and then begin to kind of matriculate to whatever else we needed to do. But what I also found about women is we want to be right in our talking. We have to be right for some strange reason. So maybe if we could convince ourselves that this is just a conversation, not so much for someone to be right or someone to be wrong. It's just a conversation that we're having, and there's not going to be a winner in this conversation. If you are a competitive woman and you like to be right and you compete a lot, you'll find yourself making that conversation go into, I want to get my point across that I'm right. You comprehend? I finished this race before you. I crossed the line first, so I won. I want you to understand that. And if that's the type of woman that you are, you have to learn how to pull back. You have to learn how to accept that you're not always right. And then you have to come in agreement that you have to have timing in conversations. Now, one thing I know that a man does not like is to come home from work and the first thing you say, your son did this. This bill needs to be paid. I need this to happen. And you have this list of things that need to be done when he comes home from work. Two things are going to happen. One, you're not going to get to item number 2 before he totally shuts down and turns off his mind. He hears nothing you're saying. The second thing is, he's going to be that man that sits in the car for about 15 minutes before he even comes through the door, sit in the driveway and think, maybe I should just pull back off. You're creating him to not want to come in the door. So you don't want to bombard him with all the things that are wrong. I guarantee you, if he came through the door and you told him everything that was right when he first came through the door, it would be a breath of fresh air for him. He would just feel like, wow, okay, well, this is good. He would feel better about just being home. And sometimes, you know, if you just start that conversation off with, wow, how was your day? Is there anything you need for me to do for you? Is there anything I can do to help you? I know you called me and told me your day was stressful, so I had this ready for you, and you told me you were hungry, so I kind of got you a little snack while I'm still cooking. Try to do some things for him to assist him to get ready for those conversations. And if you have a conversation that you want to have that we consider a hard conversation, I'm not saying butter him up for the conversation, but I am saying kind of make it smooth transition to get into it, especially if there are things that are negative.
Absolutely. And when she said about coming home, sitting in the car, a man wants from his wife is some free time. And when we talk about some free time, we're talking about just a little bit of time for quiet time, you know, so you get a peace of mind, a moment just to re-energize itself, a moment just to regroup and reconnect with what's going on around him, you know, once he gets home, and, you know, and then give him a moment to get reconnected to what's going on in our relationship so that we can go to the next level. So when I first get home, as she said, I don't want to get bombarded with all of the household problems. Give me a little bit of space so I can unwind. And then after I unwind, then we may be able to have a little chatter. But in the meantime, don't plan my days off. You know, a man don't want a woman planning his days off. You know, he has in his mind what he wants to do. And when you really appreciate him, you know, you'll say, well, what's your plans for, you know, your day off? You know, don't plan activities on his day off. You don't know if he planned on doing a honey-do list at the house, or a DIY at the house, or cleaning his car, cleaning the garage. You don't know what he planned unless you already communicated that. But we really don't want to do something. You want to do something to free up your husband with free time. So if you want to do something special, you know, if you guys make an agreement to say, well, on Saturdays, can we do this, you know, or every other weekend we're going to go and do this, you know, make some type of plans that this is what we're going to do. Just don't take it for granted. Well, he's not working, we're going to go do this. You know, a man wants his free time, you know, because it may just be, he just may want to have just a day of rest. Like, I'm just going to stay home and do nothing all day. I know some of you say, well, Sundays is the day of rest, but when you multitask and have multiple jobs, pastoring and working a secular job and running your household and this, that, and the other, Sundays is really not a day off. You know, most pastors that are full-time, Mondays is their day off. But for me, Saturdays is really my only day off, you know, because of what's going on in my life. But one other thing that men want from their spouse or their wives, as what we really want, is respect. You know, Aretha said it in her song about respect. We want respect also, because the best way that a wife can show her husband respect and that she loves him is by actively listening to him. We're back there again. I think I've been preaching about that too. A man wants to be listened to, you know. Even when he's having a conversation with his wife, he don't want to always be interrupted. Let me get my point across. You can agree and disagree with it, but let me get it all out first so that you understand what I'm talking about. That shows a whole lot of respect. Because some relationships, he's trying to get his point across, and she said, "But nope, you said this." Well, let me finish. You're not hearing the whole story, and a man wants to get the whole story out there, the whole thought process out there, so that he don't want your opinion on it until he gets his thought out there. Then now you can get to the point where you can deal with it, because if you continually interrupt, that's being disrespectful. But if you really want to show him respect, you won't give negative comments about his thoughts or opinions. You got to be considerate of his upcoming plans, generally being positive, be thankful, and consider some of his wants and his needs. Oftentimes it's just one-sided. So a man wants to consider my wants, consider some of my needs, and I'm gonna help the sisters if I don't help nobody else. Try avoiding rolling the eyes back in your head when you disagree with him.
Okay, let me go back to the planning. When you said about planning their day off, my husband and I, we have a thing. He'll say, "So, what do you have planned for me?" Like, what do you have planned? We kind of talk about it before that day comes about. Because if it's the summer, I don't ask him to do anything in the summer, because his plan is going to be golfing. Every free day he has, he's going to golf. He will golf anytime he can. So I most of the time don't say, have anything planned. If we have different things on the calendar, I'll tell him, this is on the calendar, that's on the calendar. This is the time for this is the time for that. Are you golfing Friday? Are you golfing Saturday? And then he'll say, well, I'll do Friday, so we can make the Saturday appointment or whatever. And then, we'll figure it out. But we always plan it together. And we've come to the point where I just don't dictate, this is, well, this is what I have. I have this, and that. And then he'll say, well, this is what I have, this, and that. And then we'll decide, we'll come together what we'll do. So that's a good way to kind of gauge what you guys are going to do on whatever those off days may be. And then sometimes you say, we're not going to do anything, what have you. And then I kind of wanted to go back to the respect. There is a level of respect that you can give your husband by just sitting quiet. I know it's something hard for us to do, but sometimes you just have to sit quiet. If you can't remember things like me, have your phone, where you're jotting down, the different things that you want to say in response to what he may be communicating to you. But we have a tendency of wanting to respond when we hear, well, this, and that, and we want to respond immediately. But what he needs is to finish his point, and then he needs you to be able to go back and say, this is what you said. And you need to hear what he said, not what you think he said. You need to hear what he said, because we have a tendency to address things that weren't said because we hear it a total different way than what was actually said, and because we're automatically want to defend ourselves, and because what you're saying, it puts me in a defensive mode, and I want you to know, no, I didn't sit here all day and eat bonbons. I went up to the school twice today because your child, because when they're bad, they're their child, because your child did such and such and so, and I've been up to the school twice, but you can't get that out because you're so quick, you're so anxious to just respond. But then he may have been finishing up with, well, the school called me too. And I stopped from working for 15 minutes to talk to your child, because now it's your child because he's upset. For whatever reason, we have to let them finish their thought before we respond, and that way we're responding to a full thought, not a half of a thought. And that way we're also responding to, we're respecting what his time to be on the floor, as you can say. He has the floor. We're respecting his time and respecting what he's saying. He also wants you to respect him by the way that you carry yourself. Women, if I do have to go to the school, even though my child's acting crazy, I have rollers in my head, I'm not going to go to the school looking like that. I'm going to go to the school looking halfway decent, because I am a reflection of my household. I don't want to scare the kids when I get there. So there's certain other ways to respect our spouse and our family. I'm 55. I'm not dressing like I'm 25. I'm not going up there with the booty shorts on and everything hanging out. So we have to comprehend what type of respect you're supposed to give your spouse, and that's one of the ways by how we carry ourselves.
Absolutely. A man always wants to be respected, and he wants his wife to be respected also. And it's about, as she said, how you carry yourself. And then when you're also dealing with respect, respect begets respect. And when you're dealing with that, if I'm respectful to her, she should be respectful to me. And when we deal with the word respect, it goes a long way, because of the fact that it's the way you talk to people or present your case will gain respect one way or the other. If you're one that some people just have the knack to just always talk down to people, and those type of people, when they talk down to people, the people that are getting talked down to just lost respect for you right then and there. And then now what you're going to do is bring out the neighborhood in them, and they're going to retaliate. So if you...
Excuse me. What's the neighborhood, Pastor?
The hood. So when the hood come out of you, things usually go the wrong direction.
Oh, okay.
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth type
Okay,
thing.
okay.
So
I got you.
so we don't want to go there. So we deal with it, and then when we deal with the word respect, we want to beget respect from one another. So if I have an issue with my spouse, I'm going to show her enough respect not to air my dirty laundry in the atmosphere. I'm going to take it behind private quarters. It's not going to be done in public. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and then the last thing I wanted to really deal with about what a man wants from his wife is trust. And usually it's the other way around. The wife wants trust from her husband, because usually it's the husbands that do something wrong, but it does happen on the other side too. So trust is probably one of the most vital things for a successful relationship. If he can't trust me or she can't trust me, we're not gonna make it. And trust is something that's built over time. And most couples build trust in a healthy relationship because they're being honest with one another. And when you're honest with one another, that means we're communicating a lot. I'm telling you what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. She's telling me what she's doing, how she's doing. And when you have that type of relationship with a real trust factor, now what you've done, you've learned how to fight fair. So, because if you have a fight that's not being fought fairly, one person's always going to lose. So if it's a fair fight, it's because it was built on trust. Most marriages end because the trust is gone. Now, if an infidelity happens in a relationship, what usually happens is that they run to the lawyer and get a divorce. Mm-hmm. Those who trust God first and ask God what to do. And in some cases, God will let them stick and stay, and God will do the rest. And when we say that, trust is a factor that gets built over time. So if you're in a marriage for 3 years and the trust is gone, if it doesn't dissolve, it may take up to 4 or 5 years for that trust to be built back up, because God had to work on that person and turn that situation around. And what you learn once you trust somebody is that you have an honest relationship, and now when you trust them, you know that they'll keep their promises. You know, somebody who you can't trust, you know they never keep their promises. You know, I've ran into people over the years where they just couldn't trust the woman. I can't trust him. You know, he got a good job, he made good money, but he never bring no money home. We behind on this bill and behind on this bill, but he always got new shoes on. He always got something new, but his priorities were not in the right order. So it was a missing trust factor. He would say, I made $500 at work this week, when he really made $1,000. And so now the trust factor wasn't there. And so now when you don't have the trust factor, you don't have the appreciation either. And you really don't have the love, because you don't really love and appreciate that person because you can't trust them.
And it's also hard to honor someone without trust. I think that a husband wants to be honored. He wants to be the king in his home. He really doesn't want to hear you always talking about your pastor, how great he is, and, oh, pastor, pastor, pastor. Sometimes women, I want you to love your pastor and honor your pastor, but you got to love your husband and honor him too. And we want to sometimes let our husband know that we honor them, that we appreciate them, and we trust them. And then it's easier to then say, you know, pastor's appreciation is coming up. Don't no man want to hear pastor appreciation coming up, and you ain't cooked him a meal in 6 weeks. And you talk about, but I got to cook this for pastor on his appreciation day. The husband don't want to hear that. He like, oh, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to take the meal to him, all right. The husband wants you to honor him. He wants to know that you trust him. He wants to see that you're going to do some things out of the ordinary for him. Just like when it's time for your pastor's anniversary, or when it's time for your pastor's birthday or whatever, because I notice a lot of women, you know, want to be the one to bake the cake, want to, you know, if you could cook real good, I want to make those greens for pastor. He loves my greens. You want to be the one to give him the gift, or pick the gift for him that particular time. But it is so important that your husband also sees that he's important to you, like your man of God. He wants to know that you thank God for him. And I'm sure, you know, if you guys go to church together, he loves the pastor too, but at some point he wants to see you take the initiative for him like you do for your pastor. And that's why there are so many men who kind of despise the church, because us as women, we know what pastor needs. Pastor. We run it, pastor. And then when it comes to home, you like, oh, he'd be all right. You know, you got to go home and cook, sister? Nah. Well, you know, you just brought this whole meal for the first family. Did you leave anything for your family? Nah. You know, you not considerate when it comes to your husband. Amen. But we have to be considerate when it comes to our spouse. We have to let him know that we honor him, that we respect him, we appreciate him. And even sometimes, you know, if you don't cook and you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get a little meal and you put it on the plate, maybe right by the plate, you can put right there next to his plate, I honor you, I respect you. That will make him understand that you do love him, that you are thankful for him, that you are appreciative that he is with you. Not that he couldn't be with someone else, because he could, but you're appreciating that you have him. And then that may even make him think twice about the grass being greener on the other side. So we have an obligation as women, we have an obligation as wives to let him know how much we appreciate and adore him. Give him the chance to be the king of his castle. Make him feel like a king. Make him feel like he is wanted by you. Make him feel as if he's like he's the most special person in the whole wide world, and that he comes first and foremost in your mind and in your heart. I'm telling you, it will do you good to make him feel like the king that he is. My husband is the priest of my house, and I let him know that every time. Every time I make up the bed, he should know he's the priest of the house.
Amen. Amen. So she done put a twist on the show tonight. Women of God, make sure that your husband, you show him honor. He's the head of your house. He should get the first honor in your house. Don't give the honor to the pastor. Give the honor to your house, because he's the one that's helping keeping that roof over your head. Yeah, some of y'all women make more money than some of us brothers. So be it. So that's fine. But he's still the head of the house. He's not the tail. He's the head. And you got to appreciate him and let him know that you honor what he's doing, and go for broke with him, because you can't honor the man of God if you're not honoring the man that's in your household, because the man of God's going to be still running the church, and you'll be right at home lonely if you don't take care of that man that's in your house.
Gonna be lonely because you can't have mine.
And the last thing we want to cover is talk about companionship. We're almost there, but companionship is the deal from the relationship that if that's your spouse, not only are you husband and wife, you're supposed to be lovers. Not only are you lovers, you're supposed to be best friends. All right? And so if you stay friends in the relationship throughout the years, it requires that you find a way to make quality time for one another. You should know what she like, what she don't like, how she likes it. Do new experiences together. Some people say, well, we've been together all this time, all the kids out of the house, and we don't know what to do with each other. Try some new experiences. I know some of you are not very adventurous or what have you. Go bungee jumping. Go do something outside of the box. Something that you, in your wildest dreams, you say, I'm never going to do that. Try something. I'm not telling you put yourself in harm's way, but I'm telling you do something outside of the box, because this is companionship. You're supposed to be married to your best friend, which means somebody you talk with. You talk about any and everything, and stop taking your husband for granted. That's a mistake a lot of women make. And let me flip it. I know we're talking about the men tonight, but women, brothers, y'all want wives for granted also. Stop doing that. And when you stop doing that, you got to make small sacrifices all the time to please one another. Sometimes you've been wanting to do this, so take your time and do it. And I'm gonna tell on myself, one of the things I've been wanting to do for my wife, and I talked about it, and she got this nice diamond ring on her hand. I want to buy another diamond ring, but it's hard to buy the one that she wants. So it takes time. So you can build there to get what she want. I can go get her something right now, but it won't be what she want. So why spend the money on something that she's not going to appreciate as much as if you buy the big one that she really wants? So when you marry your best friend, you know what they want. You're mindful of what they need. You talk to one another. You practice using kind words. You don't use harsh words. You tell them how grateful you are for them. You show gratitude. You build their ego. Brothers want their egos built. We want to be told how good we did something. Even if it's just the littlest thing, if it's a DIY project at the house, I did that with my own hands. See, we would have went out and spent with a contractor thousands of dollars. I ended up doing all this for $300 or whatever. We want to be shown gratitude that, look, I did this. I did it with my own hands. And sometimes gratitude might be at my wife. She hates football. She don't really like golf either. She'll watch a little bit of basketball, but when you show gratitude, she'll sit through a football game with me. She might be on her iPad, but she'll sit through the football game with me. She might be on the iPad, but she'll watch golf with me. She knows some of the fundamentals of golf because I have it on all the time. That's showing gratitude that she's willing to deal with or make the sacrifice. That's what I like. So she's not trying to change me. What she's trying to do is help compliment me. So her and my daughters got together and they said, well, it really was my daughter. She didn't have no say so in this one. They said, Dad, what do you want for Christmas? I said, I need a new golf watch. They sent me a new golf watch. They were showing me gratitude for being the father that I am. I'm grateful to my daughters. I'm grateful to my beautiful wife. It just goes a long way with companionship.
And okay, let's say for instance, when you sit through a football game. Now, I used to watch football all the time, so I can't really say I don't like football. I was a Steelers fan. I just got to the point where I started finding out things that happened to them after their careers ended, and so I kind of think it's barbaric. But anyway, so if he's watching a football game, I may, like he said, I'll sit in there while he's watching it. He's watching Tiger, I know a couple of the golfers. A couple of them I like. I'll learn different things. I'll even ride the cart sometimes if he's like, I'm just going to play 9 holes. We're somewhere in Florida. I can't go shopping without him, so I might as well ride the cart. He took the car, so I'll get on the cart. I'll ride the cart with him. It just shows your spouse that you care about the things that they're interested in. And even if you really don't comprehend it, sometimes there's ways that you can ask Google anything now, and Google will tell you. You ask Siri, what is a hole-in-one? What does that mean? I know what it means now. It's just a matter of caring about the things that they like and wanting to share in their lives. And even if it was like I'm getting started into something new, I've never crafted before, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. He started asking questions. I mean, my husband is my number one supporter. We paid this money for this machine. It was a lot of money. It sat there for some days, and he'll come home, say, okay, so, I'm off on, Monday and Friday. So he'd come in on Friday and say, okay, you didn't do nothing today with it. Nope. Because I was intimidated by the machine, honestly. So a week will roll around and say it's Monday, come home, still haven't done anything with that machine, huh? Nope. And then one day he came home, because I got tired of him asking. One day he came home and he said, oh, so you've done something. What have you done? And I, started showing him. It's like, that's pretty nice. The point is you support one another on your endeavors. And it encourages your spouse when you seem as if you're interested in what they're doing. And sometimes you can push them into doing better by being that support system. And there's no one that you should trust more if that's your best friend. You guys became one, so you want to be there for one another, and you want to help encourage each other. You want to show the support. You want to show the love. Definitely want to show him how much he means to you. That's that ego. That's that stroking. Men love for their egos to be puffed up. Got to give them that. And then, who would you want to do it if it's not you? You shouldn't want somebody else to stroke your husband's ego. That's your job.
Absolutely. So when we think about what men want in a relationship, oftentimes we find ourselves where men seem to be distanced, they seem to be grumpy or distressed and it's because they're not communicating with their spouse. And so what we really want is communication and things to do together, because when you distance yourself, what you're saying is that I'm disconnected. So in a real relationship, we want to be connected. We want to have something in common other than the kids, something in common other than the sex. We got to have something in common where it's communication, where it's some type of activity that we're both involved in. In ministry, when a husband and wife comes together in ministry, that they're connected because they have an activity that they're doing together, or for the better good, or for the greater good of the kingdom of God. So they're doing something that they both love to do. Now, people that are not in ministry, they need to come together with something that keep them bonded together, where it interests them that they're trying to do the greater good. And if they're not trying to do that together, what they usually do is they're going in two separate directions. So now one's doing this and one's doing that, and so they only meet at night. And that's not good, because he could be on one side of town and she could be in another state, or vice versa, and they're not connecting like they should. When they do come together and they're in the same household, but they don't talk, they don't communicate, because of the fact they're like roommates. That's just my roommate. We're here, and we're doing this or doing that, and they go about their separate ways. So what a man really wants, he wants someone that he can connect to, that it can be successful and come as one, because as that Bible says, my Bible says, when a man finds the woman, he findeth a good thing. And so now two are yoked together, intertwined. Now that we're intertwined and we're functioning, we have to be best friends.
And we have to be able to talk about everything. My husband and I, we talk about everything, from the smallest thing to the largest thing. We talk about everything. It wasn't always that way. Sometimes, like he said, I might want to talk when it's time for him to go to bed, because I'm just always up. But you have to learn how to communicate, when to communicate. You have to learn what's important. Sometimes like I said, the weightier things, you might not want to hit them with right away when he walks through the door. You might want to leave that for later. There are times that you want to communicate and not even say a word. You can communicate with your spouse by simply holding his hand, rubbing his shoulders, just letting him know, a touch. That's a form of communicating with him. Sometimes we're like you're sitting in the car, the way the cars are now, you seem to be so far apart. But sometimes you just sit in the car and you just hold hands or touch each other, or, rub his shoulder, let him know, I got you. And that's what your spouse needs from you. Women, we have to get to the point where we're not so concerned about ourselves, but be concerned about them. I know, you work hard too. You do this, you cook, you clean. I know all of that. You're taking care of the kids. Not just, staying home. You're working 8 hours and coming home and doing things. I understand that, but you do want to make your house a home, and that be that man's castle, and him to be able to come there and rest.
Absolutely, and we're going to leave you with this. I'm going to say to the sisters what a man really wants. He wants you to stop insulting him, trying to make him change, because he is who he is. We also want to create a space in our relationship where we can be open and emotional. When I say that, where it's a space, what we call it a safe zone, where I can be open and emotional about how I feel about something, and you're not going to take me down to the lowest common denominator, make me feel small because you don't agree with it. This is open space time, where this is how I feel about something. And so, in other words, we can have a dialogue that breaks the ice on our emotional status of where we are. And then the last thing, we got to talk about respect. We talked about it a lot today. We must respect one another because respect goes a long way. And we thank you tonight for allowing us just to speak into your hearts tonight about respect in relationships, because it goes a long way. And no more insulting one another. Learn how to agree to disagree and move on, and let bygones be bygones, and ask God for help in areas that you are weak in. And we appreciate you coming and joining us on Relationship Matters tonight, where I am Melvin and this is Monica, and we appreciate you coming to see us on Relationship Matters. Hope to see you next week. God bless.
God bless.
Relationship Matters has been brought to you by Color Flow Artistry and the Color Flow Effect. Keisha Barber and the Color Flow Artistry empower and uplift women by enhancing the beauty they were born with. Color Flow offers services such as eyelash extensions, waxing services, and glam services for any occasion. And if you would like to improve your makeup skills, no worries, because Color Flow Artistry also offers makeup lessons. Go to colorflowartistry.com and book your appointment today.
Thank you for joining Relationship Matters. Catch us again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Worship Radio International as we continue to enlighten you about strength in relationships. For all questions, please email us at relationshipmatters99@gmail.com. Again, that's relationshipmatters99@gmail.com. If you would like to sow a seed into the ministry, there's 2 ways that you can do that. Through Cash App, $GSD Ministries, again, $GSD Ministries, or go to our website at GreaterShilohDeliveranceMinistries.com. Thank you.